Hi, this is Stephen at Sound of an Ocean Wave, and I'm coming to do a response, a VR to Simon from the Hermit's Cave, his tarot tag, well, his tarot tag and oracle tag. He's done both of those. This is the first one. This is the Tarot Shelf 2018 tag. And then he did a separate one for Oracle Shelf 2018, and I shall do that video after this one. They shouldn't take long because I've not got many decks, but I did want to do a response because, as Simon says, it's not about the number. It's you know, it's okay. You can't have too many. You can't have too few. It's whatever's right for you. Oh, rhymes, doesn't it? So there we go. So yes, I'm not going to actually show you the shelf where I keep them because it's only just one single shelf that I stack them on, and it's easier just to show you the decks from here. This time last year, just to give a comparison of tarot decks, I only possessed two that I'd had for a while, and one that I've had for many years, even when I wasn't into tarot and using tarot, was, and you can see from the box it's been battered and I've had it a while. It's the original Rider-Waite tarot deck, which I've since modified by trimming to make it borderless and putting the blue edging on to make a nice little pocket deck of the Rider-Waite Smith deck. So that's handy, and I can take that out and about with me if I want, in case I want to do a reading or pull a card while I'm out and about. So that's one of the decks that I've had for a while, and the other deck it came in a set, a book, which I've still got. It's over there somewhere. And I think it was the Easy Tarot, and with it came this little deck, which was the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. Again, another battered box because I've had it for so long, and I like this, and this is what actually, you know, I have another one by Ciro Marchetti, which I'll show shortly, if I don't try not to drop these. But yes, these I've edged these in black, so that's nice, and I've really liked the images. They differed from the traditional Rider-Waite, and it gave another sort of perspective on the tarot, and the images were interesting and thought-provoking, and I really liked, and still do like, the look of this deck. I've not used it for a while actually, and yes, it's a very good deck. Plenty of walkthroughs online about it, and so this deck and the original Rider-Waite were the only decks that I had for quite a while, and certainly up until this time last year when I started watching YouTube videos, commenting in chats and everything, lurking about, and even up until starting my channel January of this year, 2018. These were the two decks that I worked with. So, but then I wanted, and I mean, at first I thought there was only that kind of deck, the original one. I did know that there were other kinds of decks, you know, like that, what I now term and know as pip decks, with just the, like, two swords on, or two wands on, you know, batons or whatever, like the Marseille type decks. I did have a 1JJ Swiss many years ago, and that disappeared, and I do toy with the idea of getting it, but it's not a priority. It would only be for nostalgia reasons, I think. So those two decks are what I worked with, and when I saw that deck, it was something different because I hadn't seen anything different to this much before. I didn't realise how many decks were out there till I started watching YouTube. So eventually I decided I wanted to get a different kind of deck. And the first new deck that I got this year was a follow-on from Ciro Marchetti's Gilded Tarot, and it was the Legacy of Divine Tarot, because I saw a walkthrough by Kelly from The Truth in Story, and the emotional connection was there, and I just loved the images. Like, it's a magnetic box with the companion book, which I've read some of, and here with the cards. And these cards are one of this deck is one of my favourites, and I connected with them very much. And similar to the Gilded Tarot, but different enough to be a unique deck on its own. Yes, this is again, I've edged this in black because it fits with the black borders, and I don't mind these borders because they sort of like fading borders. The image sort of comes out of it. It's not like a hard border, so it set it off quite nicely. And yes, that's the Empress card there, and yeah, I love the images. Very, very vibrant, very dramatic, colourful images there. And I use this excuse me, this I think sort of like overtook the Gilded Tarot. Not that I don't like it, and I maybe I will get it out and use it at some point again. But this became a real favourite deck for quite a while, and so some of you may have seen it. And as I say, there are plenty of walkthroughs. Say Kelly from The Truth in Story, she did an excellent walkthrough going through the cards, and it's what prompted me to get this deck. So that's that one. And that was it until I think about March, around my birthday time. And I was looking for another type of deck after seeing different decks about. Most of the, well, I'd say all of the decks that I purchase are the mass market ones, because the independent decks tend to be quite expensive. So budget wise, I like to see them, and I think, well, one day I might get some independent decks, the ones that perhaps are out at the time, because the ones that are out now might be out of print by the time I get around to it. And there's also the if shipping and all this thing and customs puts me off a bit, to be fair. And but I must say, most of them are like mass produced. And the deck I got next, which was a different kind of deck, which was to me almost a pip deck but not quite, and it had the thing where the Justice and Strength cards were swapped around, and that took me a while to get my head round, so that I could purchase the deck. I wondered how I'd use that, but surprisingly, that was the Wild Unknown Tarot, because it was very popular at the time, well, and still is, probably. Again, we've got the book there, and then the cards. What I liked was that the cards come in a separate box on their own, and it surprised me as to how well I connected with this deck, and I've used it a few times, not too recently, but once we get into the new year, it will be back out again. Yeah, different approach to the cards, but I do love the artwork, and I mean that's the Six of Pentacles, nothing at all like the RWS version, but I can connect with that. I mean, this is the Empress. The Empress is a tree. The Emperor's a tree as well. I think this is the Empress more like at night with the moon, and the Emperor's I think is in the daytime with the sun, and more like a more structured tree than just a colourful tree there. But yeah, I mean, for the Ace of Swords, you know, and the energy in these cards, and you know, that Justice card there, which is number 8, whereas in the RWS it's at 11. So they swapped the well. When I say swapped around, it started in early tarot decks. Justice was always at 8. It was the RWS deck that changed it. That for reasons I'm not going to go into, because off the top of my head I can't really put the reason into coherent words. But yeah, so I just think you use the deck as you like. So it doesn't really matter. And the court cards tend to be, you know, it's got these little animals in this deck. I don't think there's, because it's the wild unknown, there's not really any humans in this deck, so if that bothers you, it doesn't bother me. Because I do have decks that I do have humans in them. So, but if this one's a very interesting. That's the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, and I was quite surprised at how well I connected with this deck. So it's one I'm really pleased that I got, and it's given me some great readings. So and this one will definitely be back out in the new year, in 2019. We'll get its will be used again, and I do try and use all my decks, and that's why I only still have a small collection, because I like to have decks that I can connect with and that I can use, rather than just sit there as a nice item just to look at now and again. I like to use them mostly. So what I'm trying now are these last 2 decks. I've only got 2 more decks to go through, because I've only got 8 in total. No, I haven't. I've just seen these in the bags. I've got 4 more decks, folks. I think this was next. The Pamela Coleman Smith. This is what is affectionately known in the tarot community as the Dirty Pam deck. This is the Pamela Coleman Smith deck with the deeper dramatic colours, and which was later changed to just ordinary looking. But I managed to get this before that. You know, I got these ones before the change went over. So you can see that these deeper colours, like here you've got the 8 of Swords, very atmospheric looking there. The one that I really like, if I can quickly find it, and of course it's going to be, oh look at this, this is one I like as well. Look at that, for the 2 of Swords, in comparison to, if I can find it, in the original, 2 of Swords, 2 of Swords, let's have a look, 2 of Swords, of course it will be the last one in the deck. Oh, here it is. So if you look, I mean, yes, I've removed the borders, so it's a smaller card, but that's the original, and that's the different colouring in this Pamela Coleman Smith deck, and I really like this. I don't use it often. I do use this one more because it's an old deck that I've personalised. I haven't cut the borders because this deck has been hard to get hold of since they changed. I think it is coming out again with the dramatic colours, I think, but and that's why I haven't used it a great deal, because I want to keep it in really good condition. I do take it out. I have used it, but I don't use it very much, and I'm careful with it, so I take it out for special readings and things like that. That's the closest I think I come, and the next deck that I'm going to show, as for decks that I have that don't use very often, for various reasons, but that one's mainly just to keep the condition, not spoil it, particularly if it's hard to get hold of. So that's that deck there. Let's put that over there. And the following deck is one that I've looked at. I've done a couple of readings with. It's a nice little deck. This is a pip deck. Well, it's a colourful pip deck, pipish deck, and that's the Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition deck. And that was with reviewers. Perhaps it would help me start to get used to pip decks a bit more. There's the Ace of Wands look. So you still do get a illustration. You still got a hand there and everything like that. So it's not quite like Marseille. This one you've got like Two of Cups. So you've got 2 cups and the 2 hearts there. So you do get a little bit of a clue. You've got the Wheel of Fortune. So it's just an interesting little deck, sort of like in a kind of tattoo sort of artwork. And that's the Queen of Coins there, and Strength, and this is very much like the Four of Wands. This is very sort of pippish, Marseille type. You know, that's how you get a lot of the cost. So, but I'm not yet into that system. It is on my agenda, as it were, to perhaps try getting into that system a little bit more. It's an interesting deck. It didn't cost a lot. I think it was about £10 from Amazon. It's just a nice little deck to have, but I don't use it very much. Perhaps I should get it out again, and that may come out again in the new year, and it may prompt me to perhaps venture into the Marseille system a little bit more. Who knows? That's but that conversation's not for this video. So that's the other deck there. So just 2 more decks, no, 3 more decks, sorry, because I've just realised it's the one I'm using is over there. I'm using this month. So okay, this one is one of my favourite decks. This is the I got a bag for it because I got the big box. It's the Druidcraft, and I got the big box with the book in it, and I didn't want to keep having to take it out of the box, so I got a nice little bag there to put it in. And this deck is certainly one of my favourites. Absolutely love it, and I'm really connected with it, and I used it recently for my daily readings, and I shall be definitely using it again. Love the images. Now, I did trim the borders off to make the cards a little bit smaller because I was struggling with shuffling. I didn't mind the borders so much, but they do have their own green little border, so I went down to the green border, and it's a really nice, really lovely deck. Very earthy, very pagan, very I mean, just look at that, lovely artwork, and I really do connect with the images, and I was really getting into more of the pagan sort of kind of systems and beliefs. So this was helping me connect, particularly with the druid sort of Celtic type of spirituality, particularly living here in the UK as well, and lovely artwork. And this has become a favourite deck of mine. So yes, marvellous. So that's the Druidcraft, which a lot of people have seen and do love, and this is definitely one of my favourite treasured decks, and I like to keep it in this nice bag for that reason. And the next to last is again in a lovely bag, so as to protect the box, which is over on the shelf, is the Deviant Moon Borderless Edition. And I was very late. It took me a while. At first I didn't like the images, I didn't like this deck, I couldn't connect with it, I couldn't see what all the fuss was about. But over time I did begin to, I think sometimes it's just you just waiting for the right time that's for you to be able to connect. But early in my sort of like tarot knowledge days, I say, not that I consider myself advanced now. I'm still at the beginner stage in my eyes, but yes, I did begin to connect with them, and I think it was learning a bit more about Patrick Valenza and his symbolism, and how, you know, why he depicted the cards the way that he did, and the thought behind creating the deck, and I began to understand more and connect with it more. And so and then now I've done plenty of readings with this. That was a whole month of daily draws I did with this, and I've done other readings with it, and it's temporarily sort of having a rest, but this will definitely be back in the new year in videos and in draws, and I'll be doing various readings with this again, I know. So so I think the Deviant Moon and the Druidcraft are up there with my favourite decks at the moment. So and the last deck is the one I purchased for this month. I wanted something more fantasy type, particularly, you know, this holiday time, Christmas, child sort of fantasy, magical. And this is a deck that I'd looked at before, not really for much. Of course, it's got a reputation for being a bit busy, and it is. And also the cardstock is a bit flimsy, but actually it riffle shuffles really well, and I'm really liking it. And I've been doing the daily draws with this month, and I'm connecting with it quite well. I mean, sometimes I have to refer to the guidebook that came with it to get a bit of extra insight, because it's a new deck and the images are so different to what I'm used to, and I'm sure that as I go on I'll rely less and less on the guidebook, and as I get to know the deck more and more. And that's the Shadowscapes Tarot. And yes, and it comes with a companion book, which is not bad to refer to. And I really like it, I really do. I do see what people say about it being busy, and when you know, and being the cards being small, they could do with being bigger cards. But I don't seem to have a problem, because I think you notice the right things at the right time. Something you may notice one day, you know, you may not see something one day, but another day when it's more relevant, you will suddenly pick on that part of the card. Your eyes will be drawn to it. I mean, that's the King of Wands card. There's lots of foxes and birds and sort of sprites and things in this deck, so very much that kind of nature based. There's lots of tree spirits, you know, trees are in it quite a lot. The Death card is like a phoenix, Rising from the Ashes, which I quite like. And I'm looking for the Hierophant card because I pulled that recently, and here it is. And that's the Hierophant is actually a tree, a personified tree. And I think for people perhaps that struggle with the Christian symbolism in the normal RWS, that really, I do connect with that quite well. I really do like that depiction. So and it's becoming quite a good deck for me, and I certainly want to continue to get to know it, and it does give good readings. And yeah, cardstock not the best, but it it does for me, and it riffle shuffles brilliantly, as I said before. And once you get used to the images, you can get into it, and it's got that magical almost. I mean, that could be wintry, it could be non-wintry. It's like another worldly type of dreamlike figure. So for this month, I wanted, it's the closest I think I could find to being like a Christmassy, wintry type deck to do readings for. But it could also apply any time of the year as well, because it's not overtly, there's not much overt snow or anything there, but it just has that kind of whimsical, wishful, imagination that particularly when you're a child, that you get at this time of year. So yeah, so that's the last deck that I've purchased, and that's my tarot shelf of 2018 so far, unless I get an extra one before the year runs out. It is, which is always possible, because I may get something else to start with in the new year. So I don't know, I'm still looking. So there you go, that's my response to the hashtag Tarot Shelf 2018. So I've been watching a couple of others, and it's very interesting. So thank you for watching mine, if you have. And yeah, okay everybody, see you again soon. Bye bye.